Starting with Genesis chapter 8 and moving through chapter 9, we start off with, "But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock that were within the ark. He sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded." No, he didn't forget. This means don't worry, God is still here. Now the springs of the deep, or the floodgates of the heavens, had been closed, and the rain stopped falling from the sky. The waters receded steadily from the earth. At the end of 150 days, the water had gone. And on the 17th day of the 7th month of the ark, it had come to rest on the mountain of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month. And on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. I would mention how Noah must feel cooped up in the ark for half a year. But then again, at the time of recording this, we're coming out of a 2-year pandemic, so... But still, we at least get to go to work and grocery store stuff. Noah had to work, eat, sleep, all in a relatively small structure. It really isn't any bigger than a fairly small cargo ship. After 40 days, Noah opened a window that he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. It kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. He sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground, but the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over the surface of the earth. So it returned to the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back into the ark. Okay, picture the disappointment here. But don't worry, Noah, you're almost there. He waited 7 more days and again sent out a dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent out a dove again. This time it did not return. Now this is actually evidence that God is already actively restoring vegetation to the earth after this massive ecological and geological disaster. Keep in mind, everything was wiped out across the entire planet. Now, by the first day of the first month, Noah's 601st year, the waters had dried up from the earth. And then Noah removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. On the 27th day of the second month of the earth was completely dry. Then God said, "Noah, come out of the ark, you and your wife and your son and their wives. Bring every kind of creature with you, the birds, the animals, and everything that moves along the ground, so that they can multiply and be fruitful and increase on it." Given the current population levels, I'd say we've done that pretty good. What are we, almost at 9 billion now? So Noah came out, together with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, all the animals and creatures that move along the ground, and all the birds, everything that moves along the ground and the land, came out of the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built the altar to the Lord, taking some of all the clean animals and the clean birds. He sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood." That's true. "And never again will I destroy all the living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. The seasons will remain, and God won't flood the earth again. He might cause gravity to weaken a bit to make the sun expand rapidly and brimstone burst out of the earth. That'll come much later. But at least he won't flood it." Then God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall on all the beasts of the earth, on all the birds of the sky, and every creature that moves along the ground, and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hands. Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you. Just as I have given the green plants, I now give everything. Right here, this is why we are allowed to eat meat. And God allowed it at this point. Before that, all humans were vegetarian. But at this point in Scripture, we become allowed to eat meat. Now, if you want to go vegan for health reasons or for moral reasons, you care about animals, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But maybe don't judge others for eating meat. I love lamb, it's delicious. God does continue, but you must not eat meat that has lifeblood in it. There's actually really good health reasons for that, bloodborne illnesses and whatnot. And for your lifeblood, I will surely demand an accounting. I will demand an accounting for every animal, and from every human being too. I will demand an accounting for the life of another human being. For whoever sheds human blood, by humans their blood shall be shed. For in the image of God has God made mankind. This is why we can kill and eat animals, but not people. For anyone wondering about cannibalism, there are some cultures where it's not as taboo. It is still forbidden by God. You do not kill people to eat them. Still, even with animal blood being off limits, there is something special about blood, however. That can make you pretty sick to eat anyway. Perhaps this was intentional to discourage you from eating it. As for you, be fruitful and increase in number, multiply on the earth and increase upon it. And then God said to Noah and his sons, Now I establish my covenant with you and your descendants, and with every living creature that is with you. The birds, all the livestock, and all the wild animals. All those who came out of the ark with you, every living thing on the earth, I will establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by a flood, and never again will there be a flood to destroy the world. This is reiterated what was already stated. And God said, This is a sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you. A covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and you and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember the covenant between me and you, and all the living things of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind. And God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all the life on the earth. I know that was a little repetitive, but that was done intentionally to make sure that people remembered it because it was important. This does not state that God changed the refraction of light, or that there had never been a rainbow before, but only that God is from here on out using rainbows to represent this from here on out. Sort of like how December 25th has always existed before our current calendar, but in 336 AD it was chosen to mark the birth of Christ. The sons of Noah came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the three sons of Noah. And from them came all the people that are scattered across the whole earth. The task of rebuilding population. Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. Side note, this can happen easily when you're drinking. Shem, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside, gossiping. Yeah, Ham was that kind of guy. The guy you don't invite to parties because you know he's a jerk. Nowadays, he would be the one that uses his phones to post it to whatever online social media is cool at the time, like Faceagram. Thankfully, they didn't have that back then. But Shem, Japheth, took a garment and laid it across their shoulders and walked backwards and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned away so they would not see their father. Now, these are some decent guys. When Noah awoke from his wine, that's an interesting way to put it, when he awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, lowest of the slaves he will be to all of his brothers." He also said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem, and may God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be slave of Japheth." Seems a bit extreme, but remember, before you try to go anywhere racist with this and connect who settled what land, assuming you know where these men settled, it's a common theory a couple hundred years ago. This was Noah saying it, not God saying it. That makes a big difference in my opinion. Noah was just a human, and he was mad at his child. God was not cursing a whole race of people for anything. And I don't think that Noah was looking this far down the timeline, as he was only dealing with a strong hangover from the night before, and possibly still drunk, depending on how much he had drank. It is totally possible to still be drunk when you wake up. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. Noah lived a total of 950 years, and then he died. That's a good long life. Was Noah perfect? No, of course not. Did he get drunk and pass out naked and curse his children? Yeah, that happened. Consider the fact that he was the best Earth had at the time, and you'll see what God was dealing with. If you think things are bad now, they could always be worse. But then again, spoiler alert, they will. As in the days of Noah.